Hello everyone, and once again welcome to K. Gutte's online lecture series. You are with myself, Dr. K. W. Gutte, your course educator. Great to see you again in this online lecture series. I have published previous video lecture on YouTube on Plato's theory of ideas and Plato's attack on poetry. Find the link of this video lecture in description box. Now, we are going to discuss in this video lecture the function of poetry, Plato's comments and observations on drama, Plato's observation on style, and the value of Plato's criticism. What is the function of poetry according to Plato? Whether poetry has to please or whether poetry has to teach. Poetry pleases, but mere pleasure cannot be the object of poetry. Then what is the object of poetry? Poetry should have some kind of moral things. Poetry should teach something through the literature. Poetry should contribute to the knowledge of virtue. Poetry should have truth. That truth to be tested on the test of truth. And then only poetry can mold the character and it can promote the interest of the state. Poetry or literature should promote the interest of the state. Poetry should mold the character. Poetry should have truth in it, and pleasure, even of highest kind, ranks low in Plato's scale of values. A poet can be a good artist when he is a good teacher. So poet should be a good teacher and he should teach through his poetry. In Republic, Plato says, we must look for artists who are able out of goodness of their own nature of beauty and perfection, so that our young men may be perpetually influenced for good. Youngsters should be influenced by the literature. There should be some good effect of literature on the young generation. In Republic, he allows poetry, specifically fables, should be used in limited quantity to educate very young people. Poetry should educate, poetry should teach to the young, and poetic truth must be of highest kind. The truth in poetry should be of highest kind. It should be ideal from justice, goodness, and beauty. There should be ideal truth, there should be just things, good things, and the beauty is optional. But what is more important, that is to teach, to have moral things, and that teaching is more important. The function of poetry should be teaching. Plato's comments on drama. What are the comments? What are the observations on drama by Plato? All observations on poetry can be applied equally to drama or dramatic writings, which is a branch of poetry itself. Drama is much removed from reality. It is also said about drama that drama is also twice removed from reality, like any poetry. Drama is a product of inspiration, emotional appeal, and unconcerned with morality as those of poetry. Plato thinks that drama is lagging behind in morality. There is a lack of morality in drama. Drama has more emotions, but drama has nothing to teach. And that's why that Plato disapproves drama. But there are few more things that Plato says of dramatic art in particular, which deserves separate notice. What are the particular comments? What are the particular observations? First, it's appeal to the baser instinct. Dramas appeal to the baser instincts. Second, the effect of impersonation. And third is tragic and comic pleasures. Dramas appeal to the baser instinct. What is it? And what is the effect of the drama on our instincts? Drama is meant to be staged. Its approval or disapproval depends upon the heterogeneous multitude. Whether drama will be successful or not, drama will be liked or not, is depend upon the heterogeneous multitude of the spectators. Dramatists introduces things to please and liked by spectators. Dramatists include so many things into drama, such as quarrels and lamentations, especially in tragedy, and cries of beasts in comedy. All such things arouse their instincts, of which character themselves will be ashamed in normal life. So many things are there, so many incidents are there in drama. But such incidents will not be accepted in normal life, will be ashamed of in normal life. Drama leads to a bad taste and laxity in discipline. Such plays should be censored according to Plato. Plato says there should be a censor board, as the censor board is existing today. There should be dramas, such dramas should be censored. Some dramas should be censored according to Plato, so that there should not be some kind of immoral effect, or it will not affect to the baser instincts. Drama should not, dialogue should not, and the character should not affect to the baser instincts. Now, what are the effects of impersonation? Drama reacts unfavorably on the actors themselves. Characters constantly impersonating evil like cowards, dishonest, and criminals. They let these evil qualities enter into their natural self. The actors are playing same characters. And if the character is playing evil characters, if actor is playing evil character constantly, continuously, then there will be the effect of that playing role constantly on that actor. He will behave same as that character in the drama. So acting is not innocent type or even healthy according to Plato. It represses individuality and leads feeblement of character. It represses one's individuality, and impersonation leads to feeblement of character. Plato admits, however, that sometimes characters impersonated represent the cream of humanity, such as men of courage, wisdom, and virtue. Some dramas might be good, characters might be good. Plato encourages such dramas and characters, but actors gain some qualities by playing particular role in drama, gain same qualities playing particular role in drama. But dramas representing noble things, and these type of dramas should be encouraged. Dramas which are promoting good things should be encouraged according to Plato. Plato talks about tragic and comic pleasures. His next observation on drama is about tragic and comic pleasures. Pleasures can be aroused by comedy as well as tragedy. What is in painful scene that causes a pleasure? This is the question. Even today, this question baffles psychologists. What is it that painful scene causes pleasure? Human nature is a mixture of heterogeneous feelings: anger, envy, fear, grief, and other which are painful but afford pleasure when indulged in excess. Scenes in drama pleases man to lose temper or to go on weeping. Drama sometimes makes us please. Drama sometimes makes us weep. Comedy was only a satirical kind. At the time of Plato, pleasure takes the form of laughter at what we see on the stage. We laugh what we see on the stage. A coward is behaving as a brave man. A fool is behaving like a wise man. A cheat is behaving like an honest man. So, if there is a contrast between a person and his behavior, laughter may be aroused. And because a character is pretending what he is not, he is pretending something that he is not. And that's why a laughter can be created in comedy. Such pleasure can be malicious. It arises from weakness. Such pleasure is aroused from the weakness of a fellow man who should rather be an object of our pity. We may have pity about such person, pity about his weakness, and such pleasure may be malicious. Such men, to these men we love, and his weakness may put us in a good humor. If a character whom we hate, this weakness in him will not arouse laughter but contempt. The character to whom we love, to that character there will be a good humor. But the character to whom we do not love, we hate such character, then there will not be a laughter but there will be contempt, satisfaction. Plato hits a profound truth. What is that profound truth about this impersonation? About that laughter. No character can be comic unless he is lovable. No character can be comic unless he is lovable. If the character is lovable, then only there can be a laughter. Frequent indulge in laughter, according to Plato, can affect seriousness which is required for a great deed. Any kind of great deed, what is required? A seriousness is required. But this seriousness cannot be achieved with drama. So, observation of Plato is that there should be some kind of a seriousness. The characters playing the same role, the characters which are impersonating, may be affected with the character and role playing. Tragic and comic pleasures are there, but such pleasure and such tragic and comic pleasure can affect the seriousness. Even today, psychologists didn't know that why the pleasure is there in some people's suffering. So this is a kind of a human nature. What is Plato's observation on style? What kind of a style should be there to the oratory and writing? Plato lived in age of oratory, which is important for a spoken word. Written words are important for writer. What is important for a writer? Written words. And what is important for a orator? Spoken words. Speech is important for oratory and writing is important for any poet. Plato says spoken words should be good. The words should be good in oratory. Impressive words should be there in oratory, and impressive writing should be there in any kind of a writing. And he lays down few principles of a good speech in Phaedrus, his treatise, which apply equally to good writing, which is applied even to oratory and speech. They cover whole range of style. First essential of a good speech is thorough knowledge of a subject one is to speak on. Orator or the speaker should have a thorough knowledge of the subject he is going to speak. Orator must be sure of what he has to say. He should be damn sure what he is going to say and what he has to say. A speech must impress the hearers so as writing to readers. There should be impressive speech and there should be impressive writing so that speech will impress to the hearers and writing will impress to readers. Like other arts, a writer or orator should have a natural gift. Writer or orator should be gifted, God gifted, and he should have a knowledge of the rules of oratory and rules of writing. And a writer or orator should constantly practice in his work. There should be a sequence of event properly arranged. In every writing or in every oratory, there should be sequence of events. First thing at first, middle at middle, and last thing at last, so that there should be an organic whole. A writing should look like an organic whole. It should not look split. So, each part should just fit where it should be. First thing at first, middle at middle, and last thing at last. Orator should communicate to himself. Then only he can communicate to the hearers. He should know what he has to communicate. A writer should know what he has to communicate through his writing. A poet should know what he has to communicate through his literature. Hearers are men like himself. Hearers are men like the speaker, with their own whims and prejudices, likes and dislikes, ideas and attitudes. So, poet should know what are the prejudices and whims, likes and dislikes, and ideas and attitudes of the reader or hearer or listener. So, poet or orator should have knowledge of human psychology. He should have the knowledge of human psychology to get into the hearer or reader's heart and soul. He should get into the soul and heart of reader or writer. To be a successful writer, a writer should know the principles of writing too. He should know the principles of writing. Then only he can write. Now we'll discuss what is the value of Plato's criticism. Plato's charges against poetry and drama arises from their nature of literature, function and method. He insists on truth as a test of poetic greatness. Truth is a principal thing that is must in literature. A poet should promote the truth, what it is actually. He differentiates between the truth of poetry and truth of life. Poet should represent the truth of life. Sometimes truth of poetry may be different from the truth of life. Poet states not what is, but what appears to him. Poet writes not what it is, but what this thing appears to him. The thing in literature is colored by the vision of writer, which makes the thing twice removed from reality, as we have already discussed. The thing in literature is colored by the vision of a writer or the poet. And that's why that thing in the literature is twice removed from reality, because ultimate image is different and the thing is different, and the thing in literature is twice removed from reality, two times different from reality. He states, the thing in nature of poetry is against the quest of truth. That a writer or the poet, he should depict the truth. He should have the quest of truth. Plato disapproves poetry because of its non-moral character, which is different from function of philosophy. Poetry is made to light, whereas philosophy is made to instruct. Literature is made to delight, to please, but philosophy is not made to instruct. Philosophy is always instructing, is not pleasing. Philosophy is not to give the pleasure as poetry. Poetry is made to delight, whereas philosophy is made to instruct. Plato attacks on poetry because of emotional appeal of poetry, because that emotions are being aroused in poetry. And when we cannot stop crying, we cannot stop laughing by looking at the characters on the stage, if we are weeping with the character, when the same thing happens in our life, we cannot restrain the situation in ourselves. That's why he disapproves poetry, because of its emotional appeal. He directly attacked on poetic method, which is made to please and feel rather than to think. Poetry pleases. Poetry makes us feel rather than to think. Plato comments on tragic and comic pleasures. Plato talks about tragedy and comedy in his observations on drama. Thoughtful analysis. He has made thoughtful analysis on oratory as well as writing. What kind of a writing should be there and what kind of oratory should be there. Plato attacks on poetry and drama because of lack of moral teaching and indulgence in unrestrained emotions and melodrama. Plato was first to see that all art is imitation or mimesis, imitating the object of life or nature. Plato says that all type of arts are imitative arts. Literature is imitative. What literature is imitating? Literature is imitating objects of life or nature. Poetry is imitating objects from life and nature. So, literature is imitative, the theory of imitation. There are two types of arts according to Plato: fine arts and useful arts. Literature, painting, sculpture, and music are the examples of fine arts. Fine arts indulge only in pleasure, whereas useful arts like medicine, agriculture, cookery, these are the useful arts. This art cooperate with the nature. Plato thinks of poetry, that poetry is purely lyrical, mimetic, such as drama, in which life is imitated in action and speech. Plato thinks that epic is superior to drama because there is a partial introduction of action and speech. And Plato's contribution to the literary criticism and critical art is immense, is considerable. So, in this video lecture, we have discussed functions of poetry, Plato's observations on drama, Plato's observation on style, and the value of his criticism. Thank you for watching online lecture series. If you like this video lecture, hit the like button. You can share this lecture with your students. You can subscribe my channel and you can comment. Thank you.